With so many things to do in Guild Wars 2, it can be hard to choose how to spend your time. You want to be productive, but you also want to have fun. You want to do what you want to do, am I right? Well, I've played for a really long time, and recently I've been thinking about things that have improved my game experience. I'd like to share with you 5 things that I really wish I did or started to do a lot earlier. And just maybe you might realize that you should do these things too. Explore the world with your alt characters. Okay, now this might seem pretty obvious, but I think it's very easy to forget about this, especially if you're the kind of player who prefers to just stick with your main. For the longest time, I kept putting off exploring maps with alts because it just felt like a chore to me. I had already done so on my main, so not having the world unlocked on other characters was really discouraging. But once I finally started to do it, I began to realize what a huge benefit it is. For example, now I can use other characters to complete a gathering run. I can attend events on another character to fill a missing role. Also, many legendary items require you to farm certain materials, and you can farm a lot more every day if you're doing so with multiple characters. I could have completed my legendary accessories way sooner if I was collecting materials on multiple characters instead of just one. So do yourself a favor and let your alt get out there and see the world. Properly gearing my alts. Now this one kind of plays off the first one. Another problem I had when using alt characters was I never had any good gear on any of them. I was always missing things like proper stats, accessories, or even runes sometimes. I guess my logic was, why waste gold gearing them up when they're an alt? Well, as it turns out, there's a lot of budget-friendly gear available on the trading post, and other NPC merchants that you can get gear from as well. But apart from getting them proper gear, getting them a proper build as well. Just spend a little bit of time looking at builds and see what it is you like the sound of. For example, I used to not like Thief, until I discovered this dual dagger Condi build, and now Thief is kind of fun for me. And once proper gear and build has been acquired, it'll make point number 1 in the video a lot easier as well. Exploring the world doesn't really feel like a chore when you can actually deal damage, sustain yourself, and complete objectives. Now suddenly using my alts was actually a fun new experience. And another benefit of this is you can actually learn what the other classes do, learn their mechanics, learn their skills. A daily gold making routine. This one you might be surprised to see on the list. Isn't it obvious? Just search on YouTube Guild Wars 2 Gold Guide and you can be bombarded with the hundreds of videos on how to make gold. But believe it or not, I actually didn't do this until relatively recently. I always figured gold making methods were just so boring and they felt like a chore. I want to play the game to have fun, not do chores. But once I found a method that worked for me and could be done pretty quickly, it didn't feel like a chore, and I've been pretty consistent with it. The benefits of having more gold don't need to be explained, I hope, but I remember the days of needing to be super cheap with my gold. I only ever had like less than 100 at any given time. Now there's many different ways to make daily gold profits. I'm not going to break down all of them in this video. There are many sources you can go to for that, so just go do some searching and check it out. I've actually made a video outlining what it is I do daily. It's a combination of daily gathering, crafting, and alt parking, and it takes only around 10 to 15 minutes, although I'll admit it's slightly outdated at this point. Maybe I'll make an updated video sometime. Start stockpiling time-gated materials. If you've trained crafting disciplines, you'll know many materials are time-gated. For example, lump of mithrilium, glob of elder spirit residue, and so on, and charged quartz as well. All of these things can be crafted only once a day, account-wide. So what happens if you want to make something that requires a ton of these things and you only have 1 or 2? Well, have fun waiting like a month for you to craft up all the ones you need. This is why it's important to stockpile these time-gated materials. You may not have use for them right now, but when you need them, you really need them. And you don't want to be stuck waiting several days to craft these time-gated materials. The materials required to make the time-gated ones are generally pretty cheap or easy to come by. If you play the game regularly, you should have a lot of them. So make sure that you're crafting them. Make sure you always have a decent stockpile of them just in case. Getting the Griffin and the Sky Scale. This one is serious. If you don't have the flying mounts, you don't know what you're missing. I put off getting the Griffin for a really long time, and I put off getting the Sky Scale for even longer. But now with a new and easier way to get the Sky Scale, there should be no excuses for anyone. Life with flying mounts is so much better than before. My reason for putting off the Griffin for so long was because of the gold cost. To complete it, I believe you'll end up spending around 250 gold. But if you're doing your daily gold routine, gold shouldn't be a problem for you. And for the Sky Scale, my problem was the time. It used to take so long to feed the Sky Scale every day. But if you've been stockpiling time-gated materials, you should be able to feed the maximum amount of Sky Scale food every day. But more importantly, today, the Sky Scale is really easy to get thanks to Secrets of the Obscure. Trust me, these two mounts are a game changer. They make travel so much easier. I use my Sky Scale all the time. You can so easily cover ground with it. And the Griffin can fly super fast. Like, if you get good at flying the Griffin, you can fly from one end of the map to the other in seconds. And once you end up getting to the bigger maps with a lot of elevation change, you're gonna want the ability to fly around freely. So there you have it, the 5 things that I wish I did or wish I was doing sooner as a Guild Wars 2 player. But I am just one player. I'm sure there are many other things out there that should be done as soon as possible. So if you know of any, feel free to share with the group all of those other things. I'm sure everybody could come up with a few of their own. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this or found it interesting. Bye for now, and I hope to see you in another video later sometime.